Welcome to Knowing Real Estate. This is our second edition of Knowing Real Estate. My name is Alan Posey, and this is Art Meister.
I'm Art Meister. Welcome to our show.
Welcome to our show, everyone. Today we're going to talk about a few things about becoming successful in real estate, no matter what market you're in, no matter how strong the market is, no matter how weak the market is. And so some of the initiatives we're going to talk about is let's talk about some of our initiatives and words for 2024. These are words we're going to kind of live by going into 2024, and I think that's always good to have these words because it keeps us focused on where to plan our business and where to plant our seeds for 2024 growth. What do you think about that, Art?
I think it's a great idea. I think many of us, of course, fall off the wagon. We start out with good intentions, and we don't follow through. We don't execute. So today we're going to talk about how we can do that much better and what kind of value we can provide to you.
And let's talk about some of the words and initiatives for 2024. And Art really teed me up good on this one. The first one is discipline. In any endeavor you do, whether it's a sales position or whether you're in construction or you're a plumber or you're somebody that's working at the counter at the local Tasty Freeze, it doesn't matter. You've got to have the discipline to do the job at hand. And it really is important in sales. Wouldn't you agree, Art?
Of course. I think my biggest issue, Alan, is lack of discipline and not doing the things that I know I need to do to continue to have the pipeline that I'd like to have.
Well, I think you're more disciplined than what you think, but we're always critical of ourselves. But with discipline, I think, Art, and I think you'll find this out everybody out there is if you're the second part of that phrase, and the second word we use for 2024 is planning. When you plan, you become disciplined. So when you have some initiatives, you put them down on paper, guess what? You now become disciplined because you start executing your plan. What do you think about that, Art?
Well, I was going to ask you, do you work off a daily list of tasks that you need to get done?
Absolutely. I have things to do every day. And kind of the way I categorize myself is A, B's, and C's. A's are tasks, and it's usually maybe 5 or 6 or probably less than 10 items I need to accomplish today. And my day doesn't end until all those A's are complete. B's are things that if I get them done today, great. But if I don't get them done today, they become A's tomorrow. Okay? And C's are things like, you know what? If I don't get them accomplished today, no big deal. And C's would be, an example of a C would be pick up the dry cleaning or pick up a gallon of milk at H-E-B. If I don't do it today, if I don't do it tomorrow, that's okay. But, if there's things that I need to do, like turn in some paperwork to a title company, that's something I need to get done today, and that's an A. Okay? So that's kind of how I plan my day. How do you plan yours, Art?
Well, I think that's one of the things I struggle with is prioritizing my schedule. And that's another thing that we can talk about, and I know you've helped me.
Yep.
And staying on track and knowing where you're spending your time is critical to being successful in our business.
Exactly. And we talked a lot about accountability and time last week. And that kind of goes to our third point. Our third word of the year is execution. We talked about planning, writing up a business plan, having a plan that's well written. But guess what? If you don't execute your plan, no matter how well it's written, it's not worth the paper it's written on. Again, I think that's something we both agree on, don't we, Art?
Right. I think there's two things that we as agents have to do. Number one, the money's in the execution and the follow-up. Many of us are really, really bad at following up on the opportunities that we have. So once we create the opportunities, why would you want to let that go? But all of us do it, and all of us beat ourselves up, and all of us get down. So staying motivated would be something that is really difficult, especially when you look back and you see the things that you failed to execute on.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you, Art. And that kind of comes to our fourth point is accountability. One of the things that I think that really has me fired up in 2024, and I think Art's kind of motivated with this too, is we're holding each other and holding ourselves accountable. I know I'm Art's accountability partner, and Art's my accountability partner, and him me, and I him. But I think that's important. You got to have, if you can't hold yourself accountability, get an accountability partner or get a coach like me or like Art to help you hold yourself accountable.
I think we've always helped each other. As we said last week on our brokers, with your friends, with the other agents in the office, and there's going to be someone that you connect with, someone that will hold you accountable and be a little bit tough on you. Yep. We're not looking for this mamby-pamby kind of thing. We're looking for someone who will step up to the plate and say, you're not doing the job. And the reason you're not doing the job is because of this area, and this area. Just take them one at a time, address the areas where you find challenges, and then vow to get better. None of us are going to be perfect, but we can all be better at those types of things.
Absolutely, and accountability is so important. And accountability also goes with motivation. Keeping yourself motivated. In other words, when it's real easy when it's raining outside, or it's cold and rainy or icy, or it's 105 degrees like it was last summer. It's real easy just to stay in because one of the things this industry, the real estate industry, and being a sales agent, one of the things that we have and that we need, and we kind of mentioned it earlier, is we need discipline and we need motivation. Because guess what? It's a requirement that we have discipline. It's a requirement that we have discipline, that we have motivation, yet there's nobody motivating and disciplining us because we're all independent contractors. So we have to motivate and discipline ourselves. And if you're having trouble motivating and disciplining yourself, what do? You go out and get a motivation and a discipline partner like Art is for me and I for him, and we hold each other accountable. Getting back, to accountability and motivation and discipline is so important in this business. And, all this is important. But if I can take a step back and go back to accountability and talk about also learning, holding yourself accountable to go out and do the job you need to do to get business, but also learning why you won a deal and learning why you lost a deal. Doing what we call, and I know this is kind of a morbid term, doing postmortems on maybe why you lost. Why didn't you win that listing? Well, because I didn't know what the seller wanted. I didn't do my upfront questions to the seller. We learned in Ninja there's 2 great questions to ask any seller before you meet with them. When you're setting the appointment, when you're on the phone, you should ask the seller these 2 questions, and this will help you with holding yourself accountable and motivating you. You should ask the seller these 2 questions, and they're pretty simple. The first question is, tell me, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, why did you buy this house 10 years ago when you bought it? And let them tell you. Shut up and let them tell you why they bought the home. Because why are we asking that question? Well, we're asking that question because we want to know what motivated them to buy the home. That's that motivation. It's not motivating yourself. It's motivating your prospects to do business with you. So we're finding out, why did they buy the home? Well, we bought the home, Alan, because we like the outdoor kitchen, we like the pool in the backyard, and we like the live oak trees. Okay, that tells me why they bought the home. That also helps me understand how I'm going to sell the home. That's question number 1. Question number 2, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know y'all guys want to sell now, but if you were going to live in this home another 5 years, what would you do differently? And that is such an important question. Let me tell you why. That's going to tell you the ugliness of the house. So when you go out to that appointment, when you go out and meet with a seller and they take you on a tour of the home, you're not pointing out all the negative features of the home. They've already told you the negative features of the home. Your conversation with that seller is now more positive than negative. And so what does that do? That motivates them to do business with you. Because when they interview that other agent is coming out there going, well, you need to replace the kitchen cabinets and the appliances. You need to put new carpeting in the living room, and you need to update the bathrooms. Their conversation is negative. Your conversation is positive. The seller is now motivated to do business with you. And, of course, you plus motivation always equals success. I don't know, Art, how do you feel about what I just said? I kind of rambled on there for a second.
Well, I think those are continuous things that we built habits, and we've got documentation that we use. Absolutely. And we've got a plan that we go in with, and we stick to the plan. We've got a process that we use, and we stick to it. We don't deviate from the process. The process works if we do.
That's right.
So asking those questions that Alan just went over is part of the process. And if you've got a guideline or an outline to capture the information, you're not going to miss it. You've got to write down exactly what your sellers or what your buyers, what are they looking for? Write down their words. And if you're with them face to face, let them see what you're writing down. When someone says, I love this type of home, you write down, love this type of home, and then capture what it is. I love a Mediterranean-styled home. I love a hill country-styled home. I love an all-brick home. I love wood floors. Capture the words that they use.
Exactly.
Don't substitute the words that you're thinking. Write down exactly what they say.
Yep.
And that gives you the opportunity to be an endearing person to them. When we get through at the end of the day, our business is about relationships.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to like you a lot more if you capture the thoughts that I have when we're talking.
Yep.
And as an agent, we must capture that,
Yep.
and we have to capture it accurately.
Absolutely. It's I think the psychological term is mirroring. When you mirror your prospect or your client, they're going to build some common ground. And when they build common ground, they're going to want to do business with you because guess what? They know you, they like you, and they trust you now. We're going to hear that a lot in these podcasts. Art and I, live by those words. But that's so true. People do business with who they know, they like, and they trust. But again, we have these words for 2024. And just kind of to recapture that, I'll kind of review them: discipline, planning, execution, accountability, motivation. Of course, you plus motivation always equals success. And success is one of them because we all want to be successful. So, but let's talk about how we become successful. And got this brainstorm a few years ago about the 6 Ps or the 6 Ps of success in real estate. And here they are. The first P is purpose. What's your purpose? Why do you get up in the morning, and why do you work really hard at this job? This is a hard job. Let's face it. The real estate agents and real estate professionals work really hard to do the jobs we do. And so what's your purpose? And I like my purpose might be to build profits, to build wealth. Art, give us some ideas maybe what your purposes might be.
Well, it might be for entertainment. It might be for travel. It might be to develop your kids.
Absolutely.
Maybe your kids are ready to buy a home. Maybe you can help them buy one. It could be their education. And with the way the schools are, everybody wants a great school district. Maybe they want private schools. Maybe you want your children in a private school. Maybe you want some other amenities. Maybe you need a new car.
That's right.
Maybe you're looking for a new home, but you're going to have to get out there and get it done if you're going to achieve what you want to achieve.
And I think that first P, purpose, is what drives you, is why you're going to work every day, why you get up and you work really hard to earn the money that we earn in real estate. The second P is passion. You've got to have a passion for this business. This is a tough business. You're going to get beat up by everybody. You're going to get beat up by buyers, by sellers, by title companies, by lenders, by our broker. You're going to get beat up by everybody. We got a really good broker, but you're still going to get beat up. You're going to get beat up by everybody. So that passion is going to take you through the difficult times. But guess what? We're also going to celebrate. We have some award ceremonies and things like that. That passion is also going to help you celebrate the good times. So passion is so important. But so Art, how do you feel about passion?
Well, one of the things I wanted to address that you've already covered, Alan, is our extreme weather conditions.
Yep.
When it's dark and cloudy and cold and all of the challenges that come with that, are you going to get up off the deck, or are you going to make those phone calls? Let me give you a little bit of a secret here that's not really much of a secret. And that is, if you're home on a cold, rainy, and wet day, guess what? Your prospects are too. They may not be working as hard. They may take a little time. If you can muster the effort to get up and get on the phone and pick them up, you've got a high probability of reaching people in the times where the weather is horrible. When it's 105 degrees outside, can you pick up the phone? Can you get to the office and sit down and make those 10 contacts you need to make a day?
And I think you brought up a good point. Work when other people aren't. When other people aren't working, that's when we should be working, because guess what? That's where we create our own opportunity. It kind of leads me to the next P. The third P in our 6 Ps is pride. One of the things we should do as real estate professionals, we should be proud of the job we do. And I kind of talked to Art before we started this podcast. I read an article, it was a while back, probably 6, 7, maybe 10 years ago. It was an NAR article about every time we sell a home as a real estate professional, a pre-owned home, we created over 60 jobs. Because we don't need title companies, we don't need appraisers, we don't need inspectors, we don't need lenders, we don't need a whole cavalcade of people unless we're out selling homes. We create and generate a lot for the economy. When we sell new construction, we create over 100 jobs. Guess what? You don't need carpenters. Industry drives the economy. We're 1/6 of the economy. And here's what was an amazing stat that I remember, it sticks out in my mind, is that real estate has led every recovery of every recession since World War II. The only recovery we kind of lagged on was the one in 2009. Real estate didn't really come back till about 2011 and 12 because of the collapse and because of foreclosures, et cetera. But real estate still led the way to the recovery. And when the industry is strong, the economy is strong. So, when it kind of wavered during the summer, the economy kind of felt it. So, I think pride's an important one. Art, how do you feel about that?
Well, we've got a responsibility to keep the industry strong. And, let's face the facts. We've got a lot of agents leaving the business. Now, you can look at that one of two ways. You can say, woe is me, everybody's in line to leave, or you can say there's more opportunity for me.
That's right.
And whichever you take is going to lead the way to what you do the rest of this year. So make a decision now that you're one of the survivors and get out there and do the things. We always talk in hard times about getting back to basics.
That's right.
The bottom line is, why would we ever deviate from the basics?
That's a great point, Art. I love that. I love that point.
Why would we do that? But we all do. We all do. And it's okay to admit the faults that you have. It's okay to admit the challenges that you face.
That's right.
It's okay to get better. And again, people know, like, and trust you. And with that, that should give you the courage and the confidence to take the next step. There's phone calls you should make. You've got opportunities right in front of you right now that you're not taking care of. And I'm not doing that either. I've got 2 opportunities sitting in front of me today. I promise you I will make those calls and I will get those situations on track and we will get to the closing table.
And that's a great point because it kind of leads to the next P of performance. If we don't perform, if we don't execute, if we don't do the things that we need to do to get clients, we don't get any business. We don't make any money and we fail. And performance is key. We got to go out and get clients or prospects. We got to convert them to clients and we got to go out and find them a home to buy, or we got to help list a home, sell it, and get them on to their next destination. And without performance, we fail. Wouldn't you agree?
Every time. Every time.
Every time. The second one is people, or the fifth one is people. Guess what? This is a people business. If you don't like people, well, go sell hot dogs over at the Valero. But you got to like people, but not everybody's going to like you. And when I say like people, some people you're not going to like, but you got to bite your tongue. You got to put up with them. But, one of the things I've learned in real estate, and one of my first clients was one of the most difficult clients I've ever had in my entire career. And yet I bit my tongue. I dealt with them. I addressed their issues. I treated them professional. And you know what? They've been the best referral source that I've ever had. They've referred countless prospects to me and clients to me over the years. But the reason why is they knew they were difficult. They knew they were jerks. And I could use another word for that, but I'm not. But they knew they were jerks. And my point was, they said, you know what? If Alan can put up with me, he can put up with you. And so they've been my best referral source. And I think that's the important thing about the fifth P is people, is you got to put up with difficult people sometime.
Well, our business is about relationships.
That's
we
exactly
keep
right.
talking about that. And one of the easiest ways to get people to like you is you've got to do something that's really uncomfortable. And that is you've got to go first.
Yep.
We're real estate professionals. And the word professional means you take calculated risk. It's a risk when you put yourself out there, and you have to like someone like you mentioned.
Yep.
But if you go first, they will settle down. I promise you that.
Absolutely.
Now, you may have to back that up with your knowledge. And hopefully we can pass some of that along to you in this podcast.
Absolutely. I think it all goes back to also setting expectations. When you set the expectations early, people understand the rules of the game, and they usually follow them. Even those difficult clients.
I think we're good, Alan, about going first when we meet someone.
Absolutely.
I mean, they can tell immediately that we like them.
Absolutely.
And once that emotion is transferred, it makes the process so much easier.
Absolutely, Art. That's a great point. Let's go to the 6P, profits. We've got to start thinking, you're an independent business person. You're an independent contractor. You've got to start thinking like a business person. It's not how much your split is. It's not how much you made on this sale, how much your commission is. No, start thinking about profits. What's your cost of sales? Are your cost of sales higher on a listing or lower on a listing than working with a buyer? My bet is cost of sales is a lot lower on a listing than it is working with buyers. But it's all how efficient you work. Some people like working with buyers. But my point is, start thinking in the terms of profits, not so much in how much you're getting your split, how much your commission is going to be on a particular sale. Because when you start thinking like that, you're not thinking like a business person. What do you think, Art?
Well, have you ever experienced, well, let me go first. One of the worst experiences you could ever have in our business, I think, is getting ready to call a prospect or a homeowner that you know that perhaps you sold the home to.
Yep.
You look it up and you go to BCAD and you look up their home and they sold it with someone else. Now you look in the MLS and you see who the agent was.
Yep.
And you wonder, why didn't that person call me back? Well, it's pretty easy to understand. Most of us get it. Did we stay in touch with them
Absolutely.
over the course of their ownership of that home?
Yep.
And the answer is no. Because if we had done what we need to do with our database and lived in the database and stayed in touch with the people who were our clients and are our clients and should be our clients in the future, we wouldn't have had the opportunity to farm them out to someone else. I mean, the worst thing I could think of is somebody ends up doing business with Alan that was my client.
Yep.
Because it can happen in the office.
That's right.
And when it does happen to you, and it's going to, when that happens, that is going to be one of the worst gut-wrenching feelings you're ever going to experience.
That's exactly right. One of the things I do, and I'm pretty religious about it now, is I put people on a continuity program. So whenever I sell a home, if I have the seller, they're on a 5-year plan, and even longer, they're forever really, where we stay in touch with them. Right. And there's services we can pay for that, and it's a no-brainer. Stay in touch with them for 5 years. But I also put the other side of the transaction into that continuity program, and here's why. So if I had a seller, and the seller, let's say they're moving out of town, I still stay in touch with them, but I also put the buyer in my continuity program. Here's why. They get an anniversary card from me. They get contacted from me on a regular basis, and it's coming through our service, right? It's coming through the system we have already built in at our company. But here's the great part of that. I'll get a call 5 or 6 or 7 years from now, and they'll say, "Hey, Alan, we're looking at selling our home. You were involved with the listing side of the home 5 years ago when we bought it. Can you tell us what our home is worth?" And one of the questions I'll ask them is, "Sure, I'll be glad to come out there and give you an understanding of what your home is valued at and what we can sell it for. But let me ask you this question: why didn't you call your agent that helped you handle the transaction the first time?" And the answer is almost always the same: we forgot who he or she was. And that's the mortal sin of real estate. And I know that NAR has a stat. I think it's 86% of all buyers would do business with the agent that sold them the home, but only 23% do, because you know why?
We didn't stay in touch with them.
That agent didn't stay in touch with the people that they sold the home to. So my point is, and Art brought it up, stay like this: we don't practice until we get it right. We practice until we can't get it wrong. And that's a very enlightening quote if you digest it the right way. We don't practice until we get it right. We practice until we can't get it wrong. It means you're always practicing. You're never going to get it right 100% of the time, meaning you're always going to have to continually improve. And I love that quote, because when you live that quote, you're always going to be striving to become better. And when you strive to become better, you're going to be a really great agent. And there's 3 types of agents in this business. There's good agents and there's great agents. We all want to become great agents. And then there's licensees. And nobody wants to be a licensee. So one of the questions you need to ask yourself when you do some self-examining, are you a good agent? Do you want to become a great agent, or are you a great agent? Or are you just a licensee? And I think that goes with that quote. We don't practice until we get it right. We practice until we can't get it wrong. That's my parting shot for today. Art, any parting shots from you?
Well, I'll take one shot at it here, Alan.
Go ahead, Art.
This kind of comes full circle to accountability. When you have an accountability partner, all of these things will fall into place.
Absolutely.
The motivation will fall into place. The daily to-do list, the prioritizing of that list in A, B, and C, like Alan
Absolutely.
talked about. Those types of skills, I know a lot of us have been selling for a long time, but we still make mistakes. We still get off track. We still fall off the wagon. But having someone to pull you back in, to pull back on the reins and say, slow down just a second and go back to the basics, which we never should have left in the beginning.
That's exactly right. And it all goes back, and I think our 6 words for this year: discipline, planning, execution, accountability, motivation, and success, are well focused on us being the people we want to be and striving for the best for our clients and for ourselves, and to become as successful as we can for 2024. I look forward to seeing y'all again on Knowing Real Estate in our next podcast. And y'all have a great day. Go out and sell something, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
One final word. Please like and subscribe to our channel and give us a call. We'll have our contact information in there. Give us a call. We'll call you back.
Absolutely.
If we can't answer, send us an email, send us a text. And you can reach us anytime. Be happy to talk to you.
Any questions you need, even if you want to refer as a client, we'll be happy to take those as well.
Great, Alan. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, everyone.